Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Annamalayai Adiyenai Aandanre Aviyudal Kondayanakko Kurayundo Kurayum Gunamum Niyallal Enne Nivatrai Ennuyire Ennam Yeduvo Adu Seivai Kanne Undan Kadalinayur Kadar Perukke Taruvaye Kanne Undan Kadalinayur Kadar Perukke Taruvaye. Om Ati Madura Chapahastam Aparimitam Modabhana Saubhagyam Arunam Atishaya Karunam Abhinava Kulasundharim Vande. Om Aim Hrim Shrim Shri Arunachalam. Yesterday we saw Bhagavan talking about how Guru can help a disciple or a seeker. Bhagavan very clearly said a Guru cannot just like that liberate a disciple by touching him or by sort of some magic. He can only show the path. And then the disciple or the seeker should follow the path, meaning should inquire within. When Guru says, you turn within and inquire, who am I? From where this I thought is arising? Then the Shishya has to do that actually. Sit quietly and turn within. And he has to seek the source. And he has to abide. That he has to do. Nobody else can do for him. You understand? But he should approach this with great Shraddha and Bhakti. Having the faith that the Lord himself is appearing as the Guru. So he should approach the Guru. And then Bhagavan said, Puli Vayur Pattadu Tappadu. The prey that has fallen to the jaws of the tiger that can never escape. Similarly, if a disciple comes under the gracious presence of the Guru, he cannot escape. Meaning what? He will be liberated. See, that is the beauty. He will be liberated. So therefore, it's very clear. You have to die your own death. Right? Till this point, we have seen yesterday. And we forgot to read the last line actually. Yesterday, we forgot to read the last line. The last line is, does he who is Rama require the help of a mirror to know that he is Rama? Meaning, to know oneself, nothing else is required. No external pramana is required. Nobody need to certify us. Because that is ourself. Therefore, we have to know it by ourselves. Nobody can help. And here, nobody needs to help. Because it is our own self. So therefore, நம்முடைய பிறப்புரிமை, it's our birthright to know our own self. See, Tilak said, Balagangadhar Tilak said, Swarajya is our birthright. Now we can say, Aatma Vichara is our birthright. Why? Because it is our own self. It is not somebody else. See, I can go and ask somebody, from here, how to go to Mysuru, I can ask. Or I can ask, who is the chief minister of the state? I can ask that. How can I go and ask somebody, who am I? You should know it better. How can you come and ask me, who am I? No? So, we have to find our own self through the proper inquiry. This is what Bhagavan has said yesterday. Now, moving on to the next question. The 21st question. Is it necessary for one who longs for liberation to inquire into the nature of categories, tattvas? See, in different philosophies, there are different tattvas categorized or enumerated. Some say 9, some say 24, some say 36. See, meaning what? From the Brahmaji onwards till the ant or worm or whatever, everything is categorized into certain tattvas. So it's a big discussion in the philosophical circles, whether this number or that number, this or that and all. So that is why this question is asked. So a seeker, is it necessary for one to inquire into the nature of tattvas or categories? Bhagavan says, he says, you know what Bhagavan says? He is a wonderful person, Bhagavan. You know what he says? குப்பையை கூட்டி தள்ள வேண்டிய ஒருவன் அதை ஆராய்வதால் எப்படி பயனில்லையோ அப்படியே தன்னை அறிய வேண்டிய ஒருவன் தன்னை மறைத்துக் கொண்டிருக்கும் தத்துவங்கள் அனைத்தையும் சேர்த்து தள்ளிவிடாமல் அவை இத்தனை என்று கணக்கிடுவதாலும் அவரின் குணங்களை ஆராய்வதாலும் பயனில்லை. Meaning what? Just as one who wants to throw away garbage has no need to analyze it and see whether it is. So one who wants to know the self has no need to count the number of categories or inquire into their characteristics. What he has to do is to reject altogether the categories that hide the self. So all this unnecessary vichara is not required, Bhagavan says. If it is a garbage, you have to just throw it away. You do not segregate which is good, which is bad and all. So similarly, all these, see, a lot of philosophies, they go on breaking their heads into unnecessary things. Like in Vedanta, Panchikarma, the initial students, they think Panchikarma is something that is not required at all. So therefore, all these externalities, all these things which are in periphery, we need not worry too much about it. There are only a lot of contradictions, So he says, just throw it away. Don't worry about these tattvas, categories. Because different philosophies, like Saivam says something else. And this Sankhya says something else. Like that. So all those things are trivialities, not the core. Therefore, you need not to worry about it, Bhagavan says. And then moving on to the 22nd question. Is there no difference between waking and dream? Waking means is a waking state. We are in the waking state now, I suppose. And we go to sleep and sometimes we dream also. In the highest Vedanta, it is said there is no difference between dream and waking. Now also we are dreaming only. That's what the highest Vedanta says. So, Mandukya Karika, the greatest Upanishad, it says, Agrahanam. In deep sleep, Agrahanam. We don't perceive anything. That is Agrahanam. And then, in the dream and waking, it is called as Anyata Grahanam. We perceive something else which is not the truth. The truth we are not perceiving here now. We are perceiving only the differences. But the truth is Ekam, one. So, Agrahanam, Anyata Grahanam means, instead of perceiving the truth, we are perceiving something else, our own imagination. So, there the Rishi categorizes both the dream and waking into this Anyata Grahana. So, for him there is no difference between waking and dream. He says, in both the states, Anyata Grahana. You perceive something else which is not the truth, that's all. So, for him, dream and waking are the same. And then, Yatartha Grahana, perceiving things as they are, the truth as it is. That is Samadhi or the Sahajanishta, the truth or the realization. So for him, The dream and waking, both are one. That is what the highest philosophy says in our Vedanta Shastra. So here the question is asked, is there no difference between waking and dream? Bhagavan says, waking is long and dream short. Other than this, there is no difference. Just as waking happening seem real while awake, so do those in a dream while dreaming. Meaning what? Jagratna, this is waking state. நடக்கும் விவகாரங்கள் எல்லாம் எவ்வளவு உண்மையாக தோன்றுகின்றனவோ அவ்வளவு உண்மையாகவே சொப்பனத்தில் நடக்கும் விவகாரங்களும் அக்காலத்தில் தோன்றுகின்றன. So while we are dreaming, the dream is so real for us. Only when we wake up we say, it's all a dream, it has no meaning. While dreaming, we take it to be so real only now. And the emotions are very real. Is that not so? Similarly, this waking also, when we wake up to that higher, to that Paramatma, it all becomes like a dream. So he says, this waking is Dirgham and dream is Kshanikam. Meaning what? We consider the waking to be a long dream. Dream is Kshanikam, it's for short period. No? That is the only difference. Other than that, in the dream also, while you are dreaming, it is very real at that point of time. Similarly, when we really wake up, we will come to know that this also is a dream, not Satyam. இப்படியெல்லாம் நடக்குமா சுவாமிஜின்னு கேட்டால், Mahatmas have realized this. The great Rishis have realized this. It has no meaning. See, just imagine, you must have studied in your schools and colleges. Now, if you think back, is that not a dream? It's just a vague memory only. It's not a dream. பொய்யாய் கனவாய் வெறும் கதையாய் போனதுவே, Bharati says. He wrote his biography in a poem form. There he writes the introduction. Poyyai, it's all unreal. Kanavai, like a dream. Ponaduve. Parankadayai ponaduve. Parankadayai ponaduve. So like that, now also. There's no meaning actually. But now while we are going through, my God, it's so real. We really fight for nothing. We are so anxious about things. We worry so much. But after 10 years you look back, why did I do this? So actually speaking, even from the Vyavahara standpoint, if you analyze, there's no much meaning. If you die today, people may cry for a few days. Afterwards, nothing. Gone. So similarly, this is just a dream only. In dream, the mind takes another body. Only thing is, this body is lying down. But in dream also, we do so much of Vyavahara, na? There the mind takes another body. In both waking and dream states, thoughts, names and forms occur simultaneously. What happens? See, in Mandukya it is said, in dream also, there is a seer, there is seen. And there is an experience. Similarly, in waking also, there is a seer, seen, there is an experience. It's Triputi, they say. Knower, known, knowledge. So, in dream also, this is there. In the dream also, in the waking also, it is there. There is no difference whatsoever. But, in the highest state, there is no difference between the seer and the seen. Can you imagine? There is no difference between the seer, me, and the seen, the world. It is one. So that is Yathartha Grahana. That is the truth. But somehow now, because whatever may be the reason, the ignorance or whatever, we feel the world is Anya, something different from me. And I am something else. I am Chaitanya, this is Jadam. That's what we feel. But truly speaking, everything is Shivam, only one. So therefore, this waking is also a dream. Thank God there is something called as death in this world. That makes us to think. Otherwise we don't think at all. There is no death. Nobody will think about life at all. Thank God there is death. Hey, so much of efforts, everything is gone. I created this samrajya, accumulated so much of wealth, property, relationships, everything. And one day everything is gone. Where it is gone, nobody knows. Where the soul goes, nobody knows actually speaking. Chumma solrom anga podu inga podu enak theriyadu. Namak theriyadu actually. Everything is gone. And after that your wife is not your wife. Your son is not your son. Your property is no more yours. Everything is gone. So you think about this, then you will understand this is just a passing, cloud. It's a fleeting experience. But we hold on to it so real. Hey, என்னுடைய குழந்தை, என்னுடைய பையன், என்னுடைய பொண்ணு, என்னுடைய வாழ்க்கை, என்னுடைய வீடு வாசல் சொத்து சுகம், ஆஹா ஹா ஹா we say. But like that, மாகுரு தனஜன யௌவன கர்வம் ஹரதி நிமேஷத் கால சர்வம் மாயா மயமிதம் அகிலம் புத்வா பிரம்மபதம் தும் பிரவிஷதி. Harati nimeshat kala sarvam. Adi Shankara says in Bhajagovinda. Everything can be destroyed in a moment. Everything can go. Is that not so? So therefore this is a dream. We have to take it as a dream only. Only when you take this as a dream, you can enjoy. If you take it as real, you suffer. Sometimes I feel வெள்ளக்காரனோட better on. நாம தான் ரொம்ப we get attached. அப்படியே மாயறம் செத்து போறோம் அதோடயே. But he's லைட்டா வாழ்ந்துட்டு போயிடறான் போல தோணுது எனக்கு. Maybe in different perspective if you see. He gives birth to a child. Yes, he also takes care. But after some time you take care. You live your own life. But we only go behind always till he is 60, 70. And we expect him to listen to us. See? And we hold on to the wife and the husband so much. Yo, Prananathan. You're poeta, your prana name boy. You can't your prana podu. We too much get attached and we take it to be so real. But we consider ourselves to be, Veda Kalath nammallam periya idu sollikirom. We are so attached to this world and to the relationships and everything. We consider it to be very real. எனக்கு தெரியாது வெள்ளக்காரன் அன்றியல் நினைக்கிறான்னு தெரியாது. பட் அவன் லேசு வாசம் வாழ்ந்துட்டு போகிற மாதிரி தோணுது எனக்கு வெளியிலேருந்து பார்க்குறேன். I may be wrong. Maybe there is more things to this. But still, this is a dream. That is what we have to understand. Moving on. This is a very good question, for all of us. Intelligent people, for all the intelligent people, scholarly people. Is it any use reading books for those who long for liberation? Books means not Anandavadam, Kumudam, Kalki. Here he is asking about different Vedic texts, different Upanishads, this, that. We go on taking text after text. Yoga Vashishtam, Atma Vichara, this, that. So here Bhagavan says, beautiful. All the texts say that in order to gain liberation, one should render the mind quiescent. Mano nigraha, meaning what? One has to tame the mind. One has to make the mind introvert. This is what all the scriptures say. Therefore, their conclusive teaching is that the mind should be rendered quiescent. Once this has been understood, there is no need for endlessly reading. Once when you understand this, what is the point of going on reading? And Bhagavan says very clearly, when you go on reading, manam viriyam, mind expands, goes out. More you inquire, manam odungu, mind goes within. But some people have got this disease. of studying, comparing, analyzing, there is nothing to analyze and understand. Once when you know that you are the truth, give the attention to the self and know the truth. Abide there. And get rid of the samsara. That is all is required. Otherwise, this mind plays a lot of tricks, It pushes you out only always. That is why Bhagavan says, no need to read endlessly. And Yoga Swami says, Puttakathai Moodivai. When we read his book, there comes a very startling, Upadesha. Puttakathai Moodivai. Then what we have to do? We have to close the book and keep it aside. Then only we are listening to him. Na? Bhagavan says, Summa idu. Then we go on reading and go on discussing, analyzing, understanding. But we are not following his Upadesha. What he says? Summa idu. கொஞ்சம் சாந்தமா அமைதியா சும்மா இரு. நோ அதை தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும், இதை தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும், அதை படிக்கணும், இதை படிக்கணும். அந்த உபனிஷத்து என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கு, அந்த பாஷ்யத்தில் என்ன எழுதியிருக்கார். I tell you, for this, some scholarly sadhakas, this is like a disease. சிந்தை வாய் நோய்னு சொல்லுவார். அனுபவம் சிந்தை வாய் நோய். It's a disease actually. So Bhagavan says, there is no need for endless reading. In order to quieten the mind, one has only to inquire within oneself what oneself is. How could this search be done in books? If you have to go within and inquire who am I, how can this inquiry be done in books? It's not possible. One should know oneself with one's eye of wisdom. நம்முடைய அந்த அகக்கண்ணால், ஞானக்கண்ணால் நம்முடைய உண்மையான ஸ்வரூபத்தை தரிசிக்க வேண்டும். We have to see ourselves with our own eye of knowledge. Nobody else can see for us. And that cannot be seen in the books. And he says, the self is within the 5 sheets, panchakoshas, the annamaya, manomaya, all those stuff. The self is within the 5 sheets, but books are outside them. Books are in the world outside. But Atma Swarupa is within the 5 sheets. Na? So how can you find this truth in the books? So you have to find it within your own, the 5 sheets, the koshas. Going deep, going within, you have to find the truth. So howsoever you try to understand, you can never understand. Our Acharya always used to say, you can only stand under. You cannot understand. See, இதை சொல்ல வந்தது தான் அருணாச்சல தத்துவமே. See, more I think of it, more I get amazed. What is Arunachala Tattva? Even Brahma and Vishnu cannot know the truth. How can you and I, ordinary jivas, how can we know the truth? We can never know the truth. As an individual, with a limited equipment, you cannot understand or know the unlimited. This is the basic understanding. Therefore, you have to drop all the equipments and just be. That is the abidance in truth. So this cannot be done through endless reading, studying, but it is required. See, initially it is required. Studying, understanding is required. That is why we are sitting here listening to the teacher. But some people have got this problem of too much analyzing and trying to read different commentaries, this, that, and different philosophies, wasting their time actually. If that time can be utilized to go within, inquire, then you will gain a lot actually. Actually speaking, there is no time to waste here. Ayur nashyati pashyatam pratidinam. Please behold, every day the life is ebbing away. Is that not so? Every morning when we get up, one day has gone. So, ayush nashyati pashyatam. So we don't know, we are playful, we are not serious, we are careless. Dinayam inyau sayam pratah, shishira vasantau punarayata, kala kridati gacchati ayu, tatapina munchati ashavayu. The day comes, the day departs, the night comes, the night goes, and the seasons come and go, and the life ebbs away every day. But we celebrate happy birthdays. We don't realize that we are walking towards our own grave every day, every birthdays. There is no time to waste actually. We are wasting so much of time. After the advent of this mobile phone and the data network, we are wasting so much of time. I really feel, very envious of our forefathers. They were wasting the time in different ways. That is Maya. But this is too much. What we are doing is too much of wasting our times. Information overload and unnecessary garbage go on adding to our minds. So here he says, all these things will not help us. So there is no point in going on, listening or reading or sit quiet and inquire. Mind will not allow to sit quiet and inquire. It will give so many excuses. So Bhagavan says, this Atma, the self, is inside the 5 koshas, within. But the books are outside. So how can you find the truth in the book? You can never. Shabdajalam maharanyam chitta brahmana karanam. More you study, more there is confusion, misunderstanding. Chitta brahmana karanam. Therefore, you study that much. And what you have to understand, this mind has to be tamed. We have to turn within and seek the source of all thought. This much is enough, Bhagavan says. Once when you understand clearly this much, there is no need to endlessly go on reading. See, by God's grace, I don't have that disease. But some people see it as a weakness. Oh, Swamiji, what is this? You are not studying different things. But enough for me. I feel more you study, unnecessarily you are wasting your mental energies. Now we have to sit quiet and turn in. And I tell you, there are certain time which is very auspicious for Atma Vichara. You have to make use of that. The Sandhya Kalam, early morning and the evenings, and then Pradosha Kalam, and then Paurnami Kalam, Paurnami Punya Kalam. Like that, there are very beautiful occasions where the mind melts by itself, effortlessly. Similarly, there are places also, like Arunachala Kshetra. So I tell you, Arunachala Kshetra, Marma Sthalam, Marma Sthalam. Mind melts. In the vicinity of Arunachala, wherever you sit, there is something magic. There is some magic. We don't know why, how. As Bhagavan says, there is some magic. So we have to make use of that. Instead of that, if you come and sit in front of Arunachala and go on browsing, reading something or going through something, then we are wasting our days. So there we have to come and sit quiet. Understand? It is futile to search in the books. There will come a time, see, this is very important. There will come a time when one will have to forget all that one has learned. See, தன்னையே மறந்து அவன் உட்கார்ந்துருக்கும் போது அவனுக்கு இதுதான் அவனுக்கு பெரிய விஷயமா ஞாபகம் இருக்கும். இந்த ஞானி எல்லாத்தையும் மறந்துடுறான், தன்னையே மறந்துறானோ எல்லாத்தையும் மறந்துடுறான். அப்போ all these things become ridiculous, nonsensical, no meaning actually. So there will come a time, if you are sincere in your pursuit, that you have to forget everything what you have learned. In fact, you have to unlearn. நல்லூரான் திருவடியை நான் நினைத்த மாத்திரத்தில் எல்லாம் மறப்பேனடி கிழியே இரவு பகல் காணேனடி. நல்லூரான்னா நல்லூர்னு ஒரு இடம் ஸ்ரீலங்கா, யாழ்ப்பாணத்தில் வேல் முருகன், அந்த யோகர் சுவாமி பாடுறார், நல்லூரான் திருவடியை நான் நினைத்த மாத்திரத்தில், if I remember his divine feet, எல்லாம் மறப்பேனடி, I forget everything. இரவு பகல் காணேனடி, I don't keep track of time, இரவு or பகல், day or night. Meaning what? The Tiruvadigal means it's not outside, it is the self. When you abide there, there is nothing. There is no idea of ull or puram, inside or outside, the beginning or end. There is no idea of time or space. There is no I or you. There is nothing. A very exalted state. So there is no use of study of anything. There is no need to remember anything. Some people memorize so much Upanishads, Gita, blah blah blah. It is all good in the initial stage. But after some time, if you go on memorizing and throwing it out, you are like a parrot. And Bhagavan says in Ulladu Narpadu, what he says, like a tape recorder. What is the Tamil? I forgot it. So like a tape recorder only. Tape recorder also, no? It gains everything and it just gives you back. So therefore, very clearly said, too much of reading is not good for a sadhaka. Then what will happen, you want to think about it and write books. I want to write books, and like this I want to give lectures. It's not enough to give lecture, it has to be recorded, uploaded. And so many people should benefit. But alas, you are wasting your life. So therefore, in the மாதிரி பைத்தியக்காரத்தனமா வந்துடும் ரொம்ப. என்ன ஆயிடும், வாழ்க்கையே தொலைஞ்சு போயிடும். சும்மா இந்த விவகாரத்திலே தொலைஞ்சு போயிடும். Then we lose this precious life. And we do not know whether we will get this kind of an opportunity again. We don't know. So therefore, Bhagavan warns here, it's not required. Too much of reading or studying is not required. Now go within and try to find your own self and abide in it. There is peace. For that jnani, all the knowledge is his. Bhagavan has not studied anything. But when he went through the scriptures, he could understand everything because of his own experience written there. So that is how it should be. Now moving on to the next question, which is a very important question. I tell you, if you understand this question and answer, you become a great jnani. What is this question? Sugamavadi yadu. What is happiness? Fundamental question. What is happiness? Inbam, Suham, apna enna. What is happiness? See, Bhagavan himself is talking. I remind you again and again. Some Tom, Dick and Harry has not written this. The great jnani of Arunachala, one who has always, abiding in his self. He is speaking out now. What is he saying? What is happiness? Tamil ஒரு வாட்டி படிச்சறேன், அப்புறம் இங்கிலீஷ் படிக்கிறேன். சுகம் என்பது ஆத்மாவின் ஸ்வரூபமே. சுகமும் ஆத்மஸ்வரூபமும் வேறன்று. பிரபஞ்ச பொருள் ஒன்றிலாவது சுகம் என்பது கிடையாது. பிரபஞ்ச பொருள் ஒன்றிலாவது சுகம் என்பது கிடையாது. அவைகளிலிருந்து சுகம் கிடைப்பதாக நாம் நமது அவிவேகத்தால் நினைக்கிறோம். மனம் வெளிவரும்போது துக்கத்தை அனுபவிக்கிறது. உண்மையில் நமது எண்ணங்கள் பூர்த்தியாகும் போதெல்லாம் அது தன்னுடைய யதாஸ்தானத்திற்கு திரும்பி ஆத்ம சுகத்தையே அனுபவிக்கிறது. This is a core of understanding, core of knowledge. Bhagavan says here, happiness is the very nature of the self. Happiness and the self are not different. Anandame Atmavin iyalbu. Anandam, bliss, is the self. It is not the self has got bliss. Self is bliss. You understand? They are not two different things. And please listen, there is no happiness in any object of the world. We imagine through our ignorance that we derive happiness from objects. When the mind goes out, it experiences misery. In truth, when a desire is fulfilled, when its desires are fulfilled, it returns to its own place and enjoys the happiness that is the self. You know what is said here, The self, the true self, the Swarupam, is the abode of peace, joy. That is of the nature of bliss. And Bhagavan emphatically states that there is no happiness in the world of objects outside whatsoever, because the objects is not. Like carnal need, mirage water, the water is not. We only see water, water is not. Similarly, we only see objects, but objects are not. This is the truth from the highest standpoint. Suppose, if you understand this, then will you argue, okay, I understand it's a mirage water, but so thirsty, can I go and drink some water, please? Will you ever talk about it like that? Because it is not. Water is not. Similarly, the world of objects and emotions, the names and forms are not. How can it contain happiness if it is not? Therefore, Bhagavan clearly says, see, we have to follow only Bhagavan's Upadesha, not our minds or not these idiots from the west or east or wherever. Bhagavan says, Kinchittum kadayadu, tuli sukham kuda indha ulaga vishayangala kadayadu. But Bhagavan, we are experiencing joy when we indulge in the world. How can you discount it like that? It is our own experience. Bhagavan, you know what he says? Bhagavan says, when the mind abides in the source, it experiences happiness. When it comes out, it experiences dukkha. But when we indulge in the world, we experience happiness. What about that? What Bhagavan says, we have got a desire for some object. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Mind is agitated. When you gain that object, what happens, the mind becomes quiet. The mind returns back to the yadasthana for a moment. What Bhagavan says, mind is disturbed. There is no sukham. When you gain the object, there is nothing in the object. For example, I am telling you, Puliyanjam, always I give this example. Puliyanjam saapta, we say. Adhe or German car saapta, thupidu. What is this nonsense? This tamarind rice, sour. So meaning what? On the Puliyanjam happiness, everybody should enjoy. But we have got that vasana within us, that's why we are enjoying. Puliyanjam pulippu irukku, inbam illa. நம்ம இன்பம் இருக்குன்னு நினச்சிக்கிறோம். அது நம்ம வாசனைக்கு ஒத்து போகிறதுனால இன்பம் நினச்சிக்கிறோம். What happens, yes, இன்பம் கிடைக்குது, நமக்கு எப்படி கிடைக்குதுன்னு கேட்டால், not from the object. When the mind for temporarily, because of its desire, it was always outside, agitated. There the Atmananda will not reflect in that agitated mind. When the mind goes back, that moment, ice cream is out, ரசிக்கிறோம்னு வச்சோம், ஒரு second mind goes within. There the Atmananda is experienced. Not from the Vishaya, but from the self. See, actually, the objects are chakkai only. Not even a chakkai, it's not in Soldachi. Even from the Vahara sense, it has guna visesha. A mango is different, you understand, and a banana is different. It has got different gunas. But who said it has got happiness? What is happiness? We don't know what is happiness. Some sort of kick and some sort of sense stimuli, tickling of senses, Gurudev says. That's what we consider as happiness. See, more you eat, do you gain more happiness? No. It reduces. Sometimes you throw it out. லட்டுல சந்தோஷம் இருந்துச்சு, நிறைய லட்டு சாப்பிட அப்படியே ஆனந்தமா இருக்குமே. 4 லட்டு சாப்பிட்டா வெளியே It's not in the object, actually speaking. Alas, it's very clearly said in our Vedanta scriptures, and Bhagavan also he re-emphasizes that Sukham is not in the world outside. Sukham is only in the Atma, the self. We have got vasanas for certain things, so the mind goes. It thinks it has got happiness. Sankalpam, we have studied in Yoga Vashishta. Mind thinks there is happiness. I want to gain it. I want to gain it. Once it gains, that second, the Atman. I want to possess that car, my dream car, dream car. Once you buy it, that 1 second, that agitation is gone. Now it goes back. After some time, the dream car has no meaning to you. It's another car. I have to take care, pay so much of taxes or pay so much of insurance. Is that? Once again, it's a headache burden only actually. அது மாதிரி எல்லாமே வாழ்க்கை. கொஞ்ச நேரத்துக்கு ஹான் இருக்கு, அப்புறம் ஒன்றும் இல்லை. அதில் இன்னொரு ஆப்ஜெக்டை தூங்கும் வீட்டில். Like the children only, they want a toy. When you give it for some time, they play with it. After that, they throw it out. அது மாதிரி we are also playing with toys and throwing it out. And searching for new toys. Alas, the happiness is not coming from the world outside, from the toys of the world. It is a serious thing. Once, for the very first time when I heard this from our acharyas, that the mind goes back and Atmanandam is experienced, I got clean bored. My God, is that so? Oh my God. But we superimpose the happiness in the object and we run behind objects. And beings, objects, not only the inert objects, the beings, girlfriends, boyfriends, this, that, எல்லாம் மாயமாக்கும், மாயம் எல்லாம் மாயம். எவ்வளோதான் புத்திசாலித்தனம் ஆராய்ச்சி பண்ணாலும் இதுலேருந்து மீள முடியாது. ஏன் தெரியுமா? இட்ஸ் மாயா காரியம். Maya is subtler than the intellect. Therefore, through the intellect, Maya cannot be conquered. Only by abiding in the self, Maya, you go beyond Maya. Not through intellection. ரொம்ப புத்திசாலியாக இருக்கிறவங்களாம் மாயாவில் வெளில இருக்காங்க. இல்லை, அவங்க இன்னும் முட்டாளாக இருக்காங்க, ரொம்ப முட்டாளாக இருக்காங்க. ஸோ மாயா இஸ் சம்திங் எல்ஸ், வெரி வெரி சட்டில். ஸோ திஸ் நாலேஜ் that the happiness is not in the world outside, it is in the self. We superimpose the happiness in the object, but we gain it only from the self. If this is understood clearly, mind will not run out. As long as the mind thinks there is something in the world, it will always run out. When it is very convinced, இதெல்லாம் சக்கை, இதில் ஒன்றும் கிடையாது. பட் மைண்ட் will say, இவர் என்னமோ சொல்கிறார், கிறுக்குத்தனமோ, எவ்வளோ உலகத்தை எவ்வளோ எத்தனை கோடி இன்பம் வைத்தாயடா இறைவன், பாரதி பாடலையா? என்னது இமாம் பசந்து மாம்பழம் சாப்பிட்டா எவ்வளோ ஆனந்தமாக இருக்குது. அது எப்படி ஆனந்தம் இல்லைன்னு சொல்ல முடியும்? இனிப்பாக இருக்குது. யார் சொன்னால் ஆனந்தமாக இருக்குன்னு? இனிப்பு ஒரு சுவை. எப்படி புளிப்பு ஒரு சுவையோ இனிப்பு ஒரு சுவை. இனிப்பாக இருக்கு, அவ்வளோதான். அது ஆனந்தமாக இருக்கு. யார் உங்களுக்கு சொன்னா? ஸ்பர்ஷம் இதமாக இருக்கே ஒழிய அது ஆனந்தம் யார் சொன்னா? Once a king found out that his wife is not loyal to him. Once he saw the Senadipati of his kingdom and the wife having intercourse. They were caught red-handed. Then the king thought, okay, we have to teach a lesson. What he did, without clothes, he put them together and he tied them with a rope. Imagine, எப்படி நரகத்தில் இருந்திருப்பாங்க. That Rani, the queen and the Senadipati were just put together and tied. இதான சுகம் நினைக்கிற, சுகத்தை அனுபவிங்க. After some time, I tell you, naragam it is. We think what we think sukham is naragam actually after some time. So it is not coming from the world outside. It is only a sense stimuli. Who told you it is a happiness? Therefore, when the mind is convinced that the happiness is not in the world, it will not run out. It will remain in the heart. This is vairagyam. To clearly know that, number one, there is no sukham in the world. Number two, the world of objects are not. They are not real. Like carnally, like mirage water is only an appearance. It has no existence of its own. The dream objects, they don't exist. They only appear. They don't exist. Similarly, this world of names and forms, they only appear. They don't exist actually. See, this has been discovered and Mahatmas have lived this. They know it. It is not their faith. They know it. That is their experience. So therefore, happiness is only in the heart, in the self. So once when this is understood, so when the mind goes out, it experiences misery. In truth, when its desires are fulfilled, it returns to its own place and enjoys the happiness that is the self. Similarly, in the state of sleep, imagine, see the pargo, in the state of sleep or samadhi or murchai, fainting, and when the object desired is obtained or the object disliked is removed, the mind becomes inward turned and enjoys pure self-happiness. In the deep sleep also happens. The mind goes back into the source only. But alas, we do not know what is the self or the awareness. Therefore, we don't know consciously. But it goes back to the self and it enjoys. That's why when we come out of the sleep, we say, Nalla suhama tumne, sandoshma anchu, we say. Because we experience happiness in the deep sleep. Why? The mind is inside, not going out. Even in coma or murchai, mind goes within only. In samadhi also, mind is not. Therefore, it experiences the pure self-happiness. And here, ரொம்ப ரொம்ப யதார்த்தமாக பகவான் இதை சொல்கிறார். பகவான் இதை சொல்கிறார், என்ன சொல்கிறோம், யதார்த்தமாக சொல்கிறார் தெரியுமா? இப்படி மனம் ஆத்மாவை விட்டு வெளியே போவதும் உள்ளே திரும்புவதுமாக ஓய்வின்றி அலைகிறது. மரத்தடியில் நிழல் சுகமாய் இருக்கிறது. மரத்தடியில் நிழல் சுகமாய் இருக்கிறது. வெளியில் சூரிய வெப்பம் கொடுமையாய் இருக்கிறது. வெளியில் அலையும் ஒருவன் நிழலில் சென்று குளிர்ச்சி அடைகிறான். சிறு நேரத்திற்கு பின் வெளிக்கிளம்பி வெப்பத்தின் கொடுமையும் ஆற்றாது மறுபடியும் மரத்தடிக்கு வருகின்றான். இவ்வாறு நிழல் நின்று வெயிலில் போவதும் வெளியில் நின்று நிழலுக்கு செல்வதுமாய் இருக்கிறான். இப்படி செய்கிறவன் அவிவேகி. ஆனால் விவேகியோ நிழலை விட்டு நீங்கான். அப்படியே ஞானியின் மனமும் பிரம்மத்தை விட்டு நீங்குவதில்லை. ஆனால் அஞ்ஞானியின் மனமோ பிரபஞ்சத்தில் உழன்று துக்கப்படுகிறது. சிறிது நேரம் பிரம்மத்திற்கு திரும்பி சுகமடைவதுமாய் இருக்கிறது. I read down English. Sorry, please excuse me. I enjoy reading in Tamil, that's why I am reading. And it is Bhagavan's original words. Please. That's why it has got a meaning. See, under the tree, the shade is pleasant. Out in the open, the heat is scorching. A person who has been going about in the sun feels cool when he reaches the shade. Someone who keeps on going from the shade into the sun and then back into the shade is a fool. A wise man stays permanently in the shade. Similarly, the mind of the one who knows the truth does not leave Brahman. You understand? See, to remain in the heart or in the self is like in the shade of a tree, very cool and pleasant. Going out in the scorching sun means what? The mind going out to the world. It suffers. So he says the man, he is in the shade only. Because of some desire, he goes out in the scorching sun. Then he says, oh, sun, very hot. Then he comes back into the shade. Then he goes back into the sun. Then comes, he says, when it is so cool and pleasant in the shade, why do you want to leave the shade and go into the scorching sun? Similarly, when you know that Atma Sthiti, Atma Nishtha is so everything, is a blissful state, why do you want to go into samsara and get hit again and again, suffer? So, a aviveki, he goes out and comes back, But a viveki, a jnani, he remains in the shade of the tree, meaning what? In his own self, always blissful. So, if you are viveki, or if I am a viveki, what we should do? We should not madly run into the sun and then come back. We should stay in the shade always. Meaning, we should always be in the self. See, initially because of the vasanas, it's very difficult. But once some vasanas are exhausted, I tell you, then the mind doesn't want to go. There comes a stage when mind doesn't want to go. Because it's very convinced there is nothing in the world outside, everything is here. and I am enjoying that infinite bliss, why should I go out? There is no urge from within, there is no compulsion from within to go out. Then why should I go out? If you feel you want to go out, please go out. I have no compulsion from within, no need. So I remain in my own yathasthanam pratishtapayami, my own place, own source. So this is how a jnani lives. If you know that the shade of the tree is very pleasant and cool, why do you want to go into the hot sun? This is the question of Bhagavan. Is it not foolishness? But Bhagavan is summa irukka mudiyala. Cool shade la summa irukka mudiyala. Oru thrill illadha maari irukku. Velila poi innum konjam adi pattalum thrilling ah irukku. Appa adi pattu. Katta kuda, ala kuda. Meaning what? See, when we understand life, when we avoid the self, then we can live, we can play this game of life as a sport. அப்போ ஒண்ணுமே கிடையாது. விதவிதவான் நிலைகள் எல்லாம் விசாரம் செய்து இச்சையது பதமபதம் யாதொன்றுண்டோ அதனையே திடமாக அகத்தார் பற்றி அனவரதம் உலகில் விளையாடு வீரா. Bhagavan says, விளையாடு வீரா. Go and play the sport. That is life. விளையாடு வீரா, he says. Once when you know what it is, once when you are not dependent on the world for your joy or existence, go and play. But when you so much depend on the world, you are kicked. So therefore, happiness is not in the world outside, it is in the self. So remain in the self. That is the whole idea. In fact, what is called the world is only thought. What is called as the world is only thought. Manomayam. It is only thought. Vritti matram. When the world disappears, that is when there is no thought, the mind experiences happiness. And the world, when the world appears, it goes through misery. So when world disappears means what? When there are no thoughts. The mind experiences its inherent bliss. When the mind goes out, expands as thoughts, then it goes through misery. So Bhagavan says, இதயஸ்தானத்திலேயே ஒடுங்கி இருந்தால் அது சுகம். மனமானது இதயம் வெளிக்கிளம்பினாலே துக்கம். According to Bhagavan, when the mind remains in the heart, it is sukam. When the mind comes out of the heart, it is dukkam. That is the definition of sukam and dukkam according to Bhagavan. See, when we know the bliss of not getting caught in the triputi, we will not get caught into the triputi. See, triputi means what? The knower, knowledge, and the knower known in the knowledge. This triputi is romba bandham, is romba burden. When you are not in this triputi, you cannot understand what it is. That sukham is something else. This triputi, as long as we are the experiencer, experienced experience, it is dukkham only. Howsoever the experience may be wonderful, it is still limited and it is dukkham only. It is limited. One goes beyond this triputi where there is no experiencer, no experience. It is not an experience. It is something else. Where you cannot explain it. விவரிக்க முடியாது. அதுதான் சுகம்னு சொல்றார் பகவான். இது சுகமே இல்லை, இது துக்கம்ன்றார். Whatever you experience through your mind, through your senses, as an experiencer, is dukkam compared to that state where there is no experiencer and experienced. அதை பற்றி யோசிச்சே பார்க்க முடியாது. இதை ஒருத்தங்க யாரோ கண்டுபிடிச்சி இதெல்லாம் அறிஞ்சு நம்ம சொல்கிறாங்களே, அதுவே பெரிய விஷயம். We are Buddhus, we are fools. We can't even imagine that there could be such a state. But these Mahatmas have realized this state and they are continuously abiding in there. Out of compassion, they are expressing it out. They are giving this knowledge to us. We should be very, very grateful to them. There is something beyond this Tripudi. The experiencer experienced. There is something beyond. We only know what is experienced. Because always we assert ourselves as an experiencer. There is an experience or there is a state which is beyond the experiencer experienced, that duality. அது வெட்ட வெளி, வெறும் வெளி, இப்படிதான் சொல்றாங்க. வெறும் வெளி, ராப்பகல் இல்லா வெறும் வெளி வீட்டில் ரமித்திடுவோம் பாருங்க. வெறும் வெளி, இதுதான் இப்படிதான் டிஃபைன் பண்ண முடியாது. வெறும் வெளி, வெளி means space, where there is nothing. Imagine the space where there is nothing. The total nothingness is total bliss. When you are asserting yourself and when you are accumulating, how much so you accumulate, it is nothing because it is limited. When you give up yourself and everything, there is nothing. Nothing is bliss. அதனாலதான் கௌபீனவந்தா கலுபாக்யவந்தா, அவர்தான் மகாராஜான்னு சொல்றோம், மகாராஜ்னு சொல்றோம். Not the Maharaja is not a Maharaja. அவன் பாவம், he is a stupid idiot like us only. But this person who has sacrificed his own self, he revels in that state where there is nothing. Don't confuse yourself with God and all, please. There is nothing. And that is bliss. And that is Purnam. Nothing is Purnam. Blissful emptiness. The Zen, they say blissful emptiness. See, imagine nothing is Purnam. Zero is infinity. Suma solra. Nothing is Purnam. So when people asked Nisargadatta Maharaj, he said, no, I don't, it's not that I have nothing. I am nothing, he said. It's not I have nothing. I am nothing. To become nothing is spiritual journey. It's not to gain something. It is to lose everything and to become nothing. தன்னை அழித்து எழுந்த தன்மையானந்தருக்கு தாய்மானவ சுவாமியார் சொல்றாங்க. தன்னை அழித்து எழுந்த தன்மையானந்தருக்கு. Meaning what? அதாவது என்ன? Putting oneself totally down and killing oneself. தன்னை அழித்து, destroying oneself. Whatever is experienced, he is absolute. Where there is nothing means what? This Tripudi is not there. The experiencer experienced experience is not there. It is beyond. What is there? You have to experience. Nobody can explain. Because it's beyond experience, how can it be put in words? Even a very subtle experience cannot be put in words. It's beyond. So this is bliss. So bliss is not enjoying something with the idea of an experience. It is just losing everything and just reveling in that nothingness where there is not even experience. When the experiencer comes, there is limitation, there is sorrow. Sarvam shanikam shanikam sarvam dukkham dukkham. Buddha says, sarvam shanikam, whatever is limited is dukkham. When the experiencer rises, he is conditioned by the experienced, and the experience is always imperfect and limited. That is dukkha. When there is no experience, there is no experienced, there is no limitation. That is the bliss. So, what is spiritual sadhana? You cannot remove the world one by one. Because world is not. To know that the world is not, because there is no experience. This is awakening. Why there is no world? There is nobody to experience the world. Therefore there is no world. This is the awakening. So therefore this is real Sukham. Whatever we experience with senses, it's not Sukham. It is Dukkham only. Okay, moving on to the 25th verse. What is wisdom, insight, jnana drishti? Jnana drishti, jnana drishti kelvi padrom illaya? And the Mahatma ku nare jnana drishti. So here the question is asked, what is jnana drishti? And Bhagavan says in his own style, remaining quiet is what is called as jnana drishti. To remain quiet is to resolve the mind in the self. Jnana drishti means what? Chumma iru, Tamil. Jnana drishti means what? Summa irupadakkuthan jnana drishti endru peyar. சும்மா இருப்பதாவது மனதை ஆத்ம சுரூபத்தில் லயிக்கச் செய்வதே அன்றி பிறர் கருத்து அறிதல், முக்காலம் உணர்தல், தூர தேசத்து நடப்பன அறிதல் ஆகிய இவை ஞான திருஷ்டி ஆகாது. Because to know somebody else's mind or to know something happening somewhere, why it is not jnana drishti? It is ajnana drishti. Whenever you see something other, it is ajnana drishti. Only when you see the self alone, that is jnana drishti. So what is jnana drishti in its pure sense? To remain in the self. Where there is no other thing, there is nothing. That is jnana drishti. Bhagavan eppadi define pandrar. I will read it out in English, sorry. Telepathy, knowing past, present and future happenings, and clairvoyance, they say now, do not constitute wisdom insight. To know somebody else's mind, that is not jnana drishti. Why? Because you are seeing somebody else. Then it is ajnana. How can you say it's jnana drishti? Jnana drishti means in the drishti where there is no beda, there is no other. That is actually jnana drishti. So to remain in oneself is jnana drishti according to Bhagavan. It is not knowing somebody else's mind or something happening somewhere else. That is, if you think that is somewhere else, it is ajnana. If you think that is somebody other than you, it is ajnana. Those things are all not jnana drishti. Jnana drishti means to remain in oneself, chumma iruttal. That is jnana drishti. Now also there is no world. It is not that after realizing the self, the world will disappear. No. Now also there is no world. Why? Because the ghost which you are seeing is not there. Only the post is there. In the dark night, you imagine a ghost. It doesn't mean that ghost has come out of the post and gone back. Only you are seeing the ghost because of your delusion. It is not that the ghost has come out, you are seeing it, and when you realize, there is only post, there is no ghost has gone back in kadayadu. The ghost has never come out of the post. The ghost was never. Similarly, in the Tripudi vandiduchu, poiduchu kadayadu. Tripudiye kadayadu. Nee dhaan nenikkiradhu Tripudi irukra maadhiri. அதுதான் இமேஜினேஷன் சொல்ல காரணம். நீ நினைக்கிற அப்படி, ஆனால் அப்படி இல்லவே இல்லை. எப்பயுமே முக்காலத்துல அப்படி இல்லை, எப்பயுமே அப்படி கிடையாது. ஸோ தேர்ஃபோர் ஈவன் நவ் வி ஆர் ஆல் ஞானிஸ் only. We have the jnana drishti. Even now we are self only. Unnecessarily we think we are not the self. We are ajnani and we roam about in this world. Even now we are jnanis. All of us are jnanis only. There is no all of us also. There is only self. That is jnana. This all concept comes from the ajnana, from the mind only. So therefore, Bhagavan defines your Jnana Drishti in the very most purest way actually. For one uncompromising define pandra. What is Jnanam? What is Jnana Drishti? To see the oneness, to see only the self is Jnana. If you say to know somebody else's mind, to know something else happening somewhere, it's all Ajnana Drishti. So Jnana Drishti is to avoid in the self. Chumma iruttale Jnana Drishti. Chumma iruttale means to remain in oneself. Chumma means what? Manam Seshti Kama. Chumma is that is Jnana Drishti. What is the relation between desirelessness and wisdom? Desirelessness and wisdom. Nirasaikum Jnanathirkum sambandham enna? Nirasai means desirelessness. Jnana means wisdom. What is the difference? What is the relation between desirelessness and wisdom? He says desirelessness is wisdom. What Bhagavan says? Desirelessness is wisdom. The two are not different. They are the same. Desirelessness is refraining from turning the mind towards any object. Wisdom means the appearance of no object. நிராசையே ஞானம். நிராசை வேறு ஞானம் வேறென்று. உண்மையில் இரண்டும் ஒன்றே. நிராசை என்பது ஒரு பொருளிலும் மனம் செல்லாமல் இருப்பது. ஞானம் என்பது ஒரு பொருளும் தோன்றாமல் இருப்பது. Meaning what? Desirelessness means what? You are still seeing the world other than you. But only thing is you say, ஆசையே துன்பத்திற்கு காரணம். There is nothing in the world. There is nothing in the world. So I will not allow the mind to go into the world. And I will always turn the mind within self. This is called as desirelessness. Meaning what? Still you are seeing an object, the world outside. Only thing is you are convinced that there is nothing in the world. So therefore we have to withdraw. This is desirelessness. We have to go within. What is wisdom? The appreciation or the experience that there is no object. First of all, object in the manasu porthu. Yatra yatra manoyati tatra tatra samadaya. Drisya vivekam spoon. ரொம்ப beautiful expression. Yatra yatra manoyati tatra tatra samadaya. For this jnani, wherever the mind goes, there it attains samadhi. There is only samadhi. For us, only when you turn within and abide in the self, there is samadhi. Na? For him, yatra yatra manoyati tatra tatra samadaya. Wherever the mind goes, there it attains samadhi. Meaning what? For him, there is no object or the subject. So that there is no need for him to withdraw. There is nobody to withdraw. There is no object to withdraw. There is nobody to also withdraw. So from his standpoint, there is nothing to be done. There is no world of object or the experiencer of the object. How is wisdom? But when you practice this desirelessness continuously, it leads to wisdom. When you withdraw the mind from the objects and keep always in the self, that is wisdom. But there also there is an effort. Because you are seeing the world, you are trying to withdraw and keeping the mind in the heart. But in the wisdom, there is no appearance of object. Patartha abhavanam. Meaning what? There is no perception, there is no experience of a duality of the experiencer and experienced. Everybody vishayam parunga. See, that is why I tell you, please don't misunderstand me, mistake me. All the other religions are very primitive. Like primary, nursery and primary, like there is God, you pray to Him, He will take care of you. If you do sin, you will go to Naraga, you will hell. If you do good things, you will go to the heaven. What is this nonsense? Is it religion? Is this thought? Is it philosophy or what? Here see the philosophy. The experience and the experience duality is unreal. It's not. You are beyond. This is the real philosophy. இதுக்கு புத்தி வேணும் புரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்கு. அதுக்கு என்ன புத்தி வேணும் புரிஞ்சு? கடவுள் இருக்கார். கடவுள் யாரும் தெரியுமா? அதெல்லாம் தெரியாது, அதெல்லாம் கேட்காது. கடவுள் இருக்கார். முட்டாள்தனமா கடவுள் இருக்கார். நீ கும்பிடு எல்லாம் சரியா வந்துடும். எந்த பாட்டியம்மா கூட இந்த கதையை சொல்லுவாங்க. அதுக்கு எதுக்கு ஒரு ஃபிலாசபர் தேவை? See, it helps, definitely. It only helps actually. These things may not help most of the people. That will help in that level. But what I mean, is that a philosophy or what? That is God, that is you, that is world. You can enjoy the world, but with some restraint. அதான் தர்மம், அது அதர்மம், இது செய்யாத, கடவுள் காப்பாற்றுவார். All these things, okay. It's primary, nursery primary, அவ்வளோதான். You come to Advaita, you come to our Bhagwan, you come to Mandukya. That is real philosophy. அங்கே கொஞ்சம் வேலை இருக்கு புத்திக்கு. Understand? See where they are taking us to, the giddy heights. Have you ever questioned the experiencer? You are questioning the God, the creator, or the experienced. Have you ever questioned the existence of the experiencer? You take it for granted. The very experiencer is questionable. He is not. This is the understanding. This is the revelation. When the very experiencer is not, there is nothing called as experienced. So, what is there then? Go and see. Don't ask. So, this is something, mind-blowing. This is philosophy. For this, you need to sacrifice your life. Not to understand there is God, He will help you, blah, blah, blah. நாய்க்குட்டி மாதிரி இப்படி தடவி கொடுத்துட்டு சுகமாக இப்படியே உட்காந்து. Don't worry, God will take care, God will take care. What God will take care? Are you there to be taken care of? You imagine a person who is suffering and you go to a person who will help you and you cry. You question whether there is a person to be helped, whether there is a person to be suffering. There is no person who is suffering or enjoying. When this is the truth, then where is the question of building upon this imaginary things? When the foundation is questioned, this is what is Bhagwan is all about. See, this is what is Bhagwan is all about. எங்கே உட்காந்துருக்காங்களோ அந்த கார்பெட்டையை தூக்கி உளுத்து விட்டுருவார், பறக்க வேண்டியதான் ஆகாயத்தில். சும்மா ஆழ்ந்து சொல்லிட்டு மாட்டார், கால்படாத, எல்லாம் சரி வரும், சரி வரும். வாட் நான்சென்ஸ். சரி வரும், சரி வரும். சரி வரத்துக்கு ஒன்றுமே இல்லைங்க, எல்லாம் சரியாக தான் இருக்குது ஏற்கனவே. இன்ஃபேக்ட் ரொம்ப சரியாக இருக்குது எல்லாம். சரியாக இல்லாத நினைக்கிறது தான் இக்னரன்ஸ். அதுதான் நம்மளுடைய மனக்கற்பனை. ரொம்பவே எல்லாம் சரியாக இருக்கு, நீ இருக்க அதுதான் சரியாக இல்லைங்க. நீ தொலைஞ்சு போனேன்னு வச்சுக்கோ, எல்லாம் சரியாயிடும். You are there. That is the problem. When you go, the ego goes, everything is fine. Everything is auspicious. How the ego will go? You find out whether the ego is there or not first. You give attention and try to find out whether this fellow is there or not. Are Rama, he is never, he is not. This is the awakening. It is not that ego will die and all. The revelation is the ego was never. The ghost was never. That is the revelation. It is not that the ghost has gone back into the post. Once I inquire, the ghost has gone back into the post. No. The ghost was never. This is Advaita philosophy. The word has never come out to go back. It was never ever. இதுதான் பயங்கரமான விஷயம். அது வாட் வி டென் டு டூ இட் இதெல்லாம் நாட் மை கப் ஆஃப் டீ. இதெல்லாம் யாரோ படித்து புரிஞ்சுக்க வேண்டியது. நான் ஏதோ பூஜை புனஸ்காரம்லாம் செஞ்சுட்டு நான் பாட்டுக்கு இருப்பேன்ப்பா, அது போதும் எனக்கு வாழ்க்கையில். There are some people who talk like this. When there is infinite potentiality, why do you block yourself? Because it's inertia, intellectual inertia. Inertia is not physical level, it is intellectual inertia. ஒரு சோம்பேறித்தனம் சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல உடம்புல, அது மாதிரி புத்தியில் ஒரு சோம்பேறித்தனம். இதெல்லாம் என் மண்டையை உடச்சிட்டு கடவுளை கும்பிடுவோம், சரி பண்ணுவோம், அது கரெக்டு தான். கடவுளை கும்பிடுவோம், ஒரு எல்லாம் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவார் தான். பட் இஃப் யூ ஹேவ் திஸ் intelligence, why can't you apply yourself? When Bhagavan says you go within, why can't you go within? இதெல்லாம் யாரோ செய்ய வேண்டியது. இது ரொம்ப ஒரு மோசமான ஒரு சோம்பேறித்தனம், இன்டெலெக்சுவல் இனர்ட்னஸ். இதை ஜஸ்டிஃபை வேறு பண்ணுறது. நாங்களாம் சம்சாரி, இவ்வளோதான் எங்களால் முடியும். Samsari can do it better actually than the sannyasi. Because he has gone through life and experienced all good and bad. So he has got a natural vairagya actually. See, இந்த உலகத்தில் வாழ்ந்தாலும் தெரியும் எவ்வளோ கொடுமை எதுவுமே வேண்டாம் ஒரு ஜாலியாக இருந்தாலும் ஜாலியாக இருக்கும். அவருக்கு ஒன்றுமே விளங்காது பெருசாக. வேணால் வேஷம் வேணால் போட்டுக்கலாம் பெருசாக. பெருசாக காஷாயம் உடுத்திட்டு பயங்கர ஜடாமெலாம் வளர்த்து பயங்கர தாடியெல்லாம் வளர்த்து ஊரை ஏமாற்றலாம். You understand? So don't think you are a grahastha, therefore you cannot. Everybody can, and it has to be done. We must. You understand? Therefore, nirasai means, desirelessness means that you perceive a world, you try to withdraw. But knowledge, wisdom means you don't perceive a world other than yourself. Only self is. This is wisdom. அப்புறம் ஒரு பஞ்ச் டயலாக் கடைசியில் கொடுக்குறார். இதுதான் பகவானுடைய பஞ்ச் டயலாக். அந்நியத்தை நாடாதிருத்தல் வைராக்கியம் அல்லது நிராசை, தன்னை விடாதிருத்தல் ஞானம். See, these two sentences you please take home, take away ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க இல்லையா. தன்னை விடாதிருத்தல் ஞானம், அந்நியத்தை நாடாதிருத்தல் வைராக்கியம். Meaning what in English? It is said, not seeking what is other than the self is detachment or desirelessness. Not leaving the self is wisdom. Tannai vidadiruttal jnanam. Not leaving the self, always abiding in the self. This is jnanam, wisdom. Anniyathai naadadirupadu vairagyam. Not seeking anything other than the self. That is vairagyam. Not seeking other than the self is vairagyam. Not leaving oneself is jnanam. தன்னை விடாதிருத்தல் ஞானம், அந்நியத்தை நாடாதிருத்தல் வைராக்கியம். Not leaving oneself is ஞானம் and not seeking anything other than the self is வைராக்கியம். This is ஞானா and வைராக்கியம். இந்த ஒரு மாதிரி ஒரு டெஃபினிஷனை எந்த உபனிஷத்துலையோ எந்த ஸ்கிரிப்சர்லையோ நான் கேள்விப்பட்டதே கிடையாது. Straight like bullseye. You know what is bullseye? This is bullseye. தன்னை விடாதிருத்தல் ஞானம், அந்நியத்தை நாடாதிருத்தல் வைராக்கியம். Not living oneself is jnana, not seeking anything other is vairagya or desirelessness. So we are coming to the fag end of this question and answer. What is the difference between inquiry and meditation? See, you know, in the world people talk about only meditation. Meditation. There is a meditation class going on, please come. But here Bhagavan only talks about self-inquiry. So what is the difference between self-inquiry and meditation? It's a very important thing to know. You know what Bhagavan says? Inquiry consists in retaining the mind in the self. Meditation consists in thinking that oneself is Brahman, that is Satchidanandam, existence, consciousness, bliss. You know what he says, to keep the mind focused always in the self. நான்கிற ஒரு எண்ணம் இருக்கு. I, that is a spuranam, I, நான். To always keep the mind in the I, in the self, this is vichara. Asking who am I? From where this I is coming. Like that you see. Means keep your attention. Give your attention within. This is vichara. Dhyanam means, according to Vedanta, see, generally dhyana means you take a form, murti dhyanam, or dhyana means you repeat a mantra and always keep the mind on that mantra. See, this is what is taught as meditation, or there are so many techniques of meditation. But here in Vedanta Shastra, meditation means to assert again and again through your bhavana, saying that I am Brahman, I am not the body mind, I am Brahman, I am Satchidananda, I am Satchidananda. This is another thought process only. Saying that I am Brahman, I am Satchidanandam, I am Brahman. This is meditation. This is called as bhavana pradhanam. Meaning what? Bhavana means what? You are thinking or not imagining. Thinking that I am Brahman. It is meditation. This here is not thinking. Though this is also of the mind only, but here giving the attention to the very source of all thoughts, that is I thought. Here there is no word you used, or there are no concept developed. Giving the attention to the very I thought is inquiry. இது எப்படின்னு கேட்டால், டேக்கிங் த புல் பை இட்ஸ் ஹார்ன். இந்த ஜல்லிக்கட்டில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஓடுவாங்க மாடோட. ஜல்லிக்கட்டு பீப்புள் ரன் அலாங் வித் அ கவ் ஆர் தட் பயங்கர மொரட்டு மாடோடு ஓடுவாங்க. சம் பீப்புள் கோ ஆன் ஹேங்கிங் ஆன் த டெய்ல். யூனோ பாவம் வலிக்கும், அது ரொம்ப வலிக்கும் பாவம். பட் தெர் ஆர் சம் தீராஸ் ஹீரோஸ் who take the bull by its horn. Bhagavan is like that. He takes the bull by its horn. What is the problem in life? Ahankara is. What is this ahankara? Where from it is arising? What is this nonsense? He inquired straight and he finishes his samsara. So he is called as Rudran. அப்படியே நெற்றிக்கண்ணு திறந்து பொசிக்கிறார் எல்லாத்தையும். மற்றவங்கலாம் சுற்றுன்னு பீட்டிங் அரவுண்ட் தி புஷ் மாதிரி. நான் இது இல்லை அது இல்லை, நான் பிரம்மனாக்கும் நான் அப்படி ஆக்கும் இப்படி ஆக்கும். But what Bhagavan says in Ulladu Narpadu, all these things may aid or help self-inquiry. Saying that I am Brahman, I am Satchidanandam and all. But that is not self-inquiry, Bhagavan says. Bhagavan says, giving attention to the I thought. Or focusing the mind in its source, to its source. இது எப்படின்னு கேட்டால், நான்கிற அந்த வெளிச்சம் ஒளி தான் போய் எல்லாத்தையும் பார்க்குது. இப்போ அந்த நான்கு ஒளியை வச்சே அந்த மூலத்தை ஒளியை பார்க்க ஆரம்பிச்சோன்னா, இந்த ஒளி இருக்கே, அதாவது ரிஃப்ளெக்டட் பிரதிபலித்த ஒளி இல்லாமல் போயிடும். அந்த ரிஃப்ளெக்டட் லைட்டை வச்சு தான் we are seeing everything or the world. That light is put back to its source. So what happens? That reflected consciousness அந்த நிலையை இழந்து, ரிஃப்ளெக்டட்ங்கிற நிலையை இழந்து pure consciousness மட்டும் தான் reveal ஆகும். So this is Aatma Vichara. See, with the reflected light you say, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. So it's another concept or another idea you are holding on to. I am Brahman, I am Brahman. Here, the very reflected light, ulle madaki, you just turn within and put it back to the source. The very source from where the reflected light is coming, you are turning the reflected light and trying to put it back into the source. இது உள்ள நுழைஞ்சிடாத சோர்ஸ்க்குள்ள அப்படிலாம் நினைக்காதீங்க. You will find that the reflected idea of reflection itself is false. That is only pure consciousness. The reflected consciousness is ego sense, ahankara. அது இருக்குன்னு நினச்சிட்டு இருக்கோம். Once when you put it back to itself, it loses its reality. And the infinite pure consciousness reveals itself. இதுதான் பகவானுடைய மார்க்கம். See, நான் என்னமோ பகவானை ஆசிரியத்தினால எங்கள் குருநாதர் ஆஹா ஓஹோன்னு போடுறேன்னு நினச்சிக்காதீங்க. See, எனக்கு அப்படிப்பட்ட இதெல்லாம் கிடையாது. நான் ரொம்ப மோசமானவன். யாரையுமே ஒத்துக்க மாட்டேன், எதையுமே ஏற்றுக்க மாட்டேன். But here it is very, very convincing. That is why I am saying this is wonderful. It's not that, ஒரு மூடத்தனமும் ஆஹா ஓஹோன்னு போடுறதெல்லாம் கிடையாது. யாராக இருந்தால் எதுவாக இருந்தாலும் it's very convincing. This is it. அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி it's convincing. Therefore it's very unique. Direct pathna சொல்றது. Catching the bull by its horn. சும்மா வாழை பிடிச்செல்லாம் பிரயோஜனம் இல்லை. கொம்ப பிடிச்சி அடக்கிடாத, நீ சரியான ஆளா இருந்தா அப்படி சொல்ற மாதிரி. அதுக்கு உரமின்மைங்கிறார் பகவான். உள்ளது நாற்பதில் உரமின்மை. அதுக்கு தீரம் இல்லை உனக்கு, அதுக்கு உனக்கு ஆண்மை இல்லை. அதனாலதான் நீ சும்மா அங்கே எங்கே போய் அதை தான் செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்க. நீ சும்மா மனுஷனா இருந்தா போய் கொம்ப பிடிச்சி அடக்கணும். நீ தீரனா இருந்தா நான் யாருன்னு விசாரி ஃபர்ஸ்ட். அதை விட்டுட்டு சும்மா கடவுளை கும்புறேன், அங்கே போகிறேன், தீர்த்த யாத்திரை போகிறேன், இந்த இதை படிக்கிறேன், அதை மனப்பாடம் பண்ணுறேன். வாட் நான்சென்ஸ் யூ ஆர் சேயிங்? யூ இன்க்வயர் ஹூ ஆம் ஐ அண்ட் ட்ரை டு அவாய்ட் தேர். Then you are a person, then you are a sadhak. You understand? This is Bhagavan. So therefore, meditation consists in thinking that one's own self is Brahman. But Vichara is, what is that? In retaining the mind in the self. Retaining the mind in the self. இதே ஸ்தானத்திலேயே அது ஒடுக்கி வச்சிருக்கிறது. அது இன்கொயரி. அது எழும்பவே விடக்கூடாது. நசுப்பிச்சுன்னு சொல்கிறார்ல, மூலஸ்தானத்துக்கு நசுப்பிச்சுதுங்க, அது இன்கொயரி. அதனால அது டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் இருக்கு கேட்டால் இன்கொயரிக்கும் மெடிடேஷன். இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப சூக்ஷ்மமான டிஃப்ரென்சஸ். But for the world outside, gross person, meditate on self. But inquiry means inquire whether there is self. See, meditation la vandu or persa or buddhalitanam onnu illa. Inquiry is something else. That's what Ashtavakra is going to say. Ashtavakra in his Gita is going to say, by meditating you are disturbing yourself. He says, by meditating you are disturbing yourself. And he says, don't meditate. அதனால முதல்ல ஆரம்பத்தில் படிக்கூடாதுன்றது. ஏற்கனவே மெடிடேட் பண்ணாமல் தான் இருக்கும் நம்ம. ஆனால் அஷ்டவக்ரா says, don't meditate. ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக போச்சு. இதை தான் நான் அப்போ செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்கேன். So, it is not that. In the giddy heights of, this thing, even meditation becomes an extroverted activity. Extroverted activity it becomes. But vichara வந்து வாலாட்ட முடியாது. வெளியில் போகவே வாய்ப்பு இல்லை. அதனால ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது, ரொம்ப மனசுக்கு. It's very hard because Bhagavan will not allow us to go here and there. நடுவில் வச்சு அடிச்சுட்டே இருக்கார். பகவான் பொல்லாதவர். ஆக்சுவலாக அவர் வந்து ரொம்ப சாதுவாக உட்காந்துருந்தாலும் சாது கிடையாது, பொல்லாதவர். He will not allow us to go anywhere, to do anything. வாழவே விட மாட்டார் மனுஷன். கொடியிட்டு அடியறை கொள்ளுனை கட்டி கொண்டெங்கன் வாழ்வேன் அருணாச்சலம். அடியரை கொள்ளதே என்னோட தொழில், கொடி கட்டி கொண்டு நீ வாழ்ந்துட்டு இருக்கும்போது நான் எப்படி உன்னை கட்டிட்டு வாழ்றது அப்படிங்கிறார் அக்ஷர மன்மாலை. கொடியிட்டு அடியறை கொள்ளுனை கட்டி கொண்டெங்கன் வாழ்வேன் அருணாச்சலா. This fellow is the one who is always ready to kill. How can I enjoy life by marrying him? அசிங்கமா இருக்கு இந்த டிரான்ஸ்லேஷன். அதுவே அது அக்ஷரமணம் எப்படி இருக்குது. So therefore, here is Bhagavan, who is a very strict disciplinarian. He will not allow the sadhak, his disciples, to go anywhere, do anything else. What is liberation? The last question. What is liberation? மோக்ஷம்னா என்ன? முக்தி என்றால் என்ன? பந்தத்தில் இருக்கும் நான் யார் என்று விசாரித்து தன் யதார்த்த ஸ்வரூபத்தை தெரிந்து கொள்வதே முக்தி. Meaning what? Inquiring into the nature of one's own self, that is in bondage, and realizing one's true nature is liberation. ஐயோ நான் பந்தத்தில் இருக்கேன், I am in bondage, I want liberation. Bhagavan asks, who is bound? Please ask, who is bound? Forget about liberation. அப்புறம் பார்த்துப்போம். First of all, tell me who is bound. I am only bound. Have you inquired who are you? Who you are? Inquire. You find you are not there. If you are not there, who is bound? And who wants liberation? See, only I want liberation. No, I want Brahman to be realized or liberated. Hare Baba, Brahman is always liberated. Brahmathukku liberation தேவையில்லை. You understand? No, I want Brahman to be liberated. Then let Brahman worry. Why should you worry? Brahman is always liberated. It is of the nature of liberation only. Brahmanனாலே அது infinite இல்லையா? அதுக்கு பந்தமே கிடையாது. Who is bound? I am bound. I want liberation. Hey, forget about liberation. You find out whether there is a person who is bound. If you inquire, who am I? There is no I to be bound. Then who is to be liberated? So, this idea of bondage and liberation, both are manakarpanam, imagination. Both are ajnanam. The very idea of bondage is not, because the self cannot be bound. Only the egoistic self, which is unreal, which is not, is feeling that it is bound. When you find out the true nature of this ego self, you find that it is not. It is false means it is not. So therefore, there is nobody to be liberated. This is liberation. Because there is nobody bound. To understand that there is no bondage is liberation. To understand that there is nobody to be bound, therefore there is no liberation, is actual liberation. உண்மையிலே சொல்கிறேன், நான் என்னுடைய அனுபவத்தை சொல்கிறேன். உண்மையிலே விடுதலைன்னு என்னன்னு கேட்டால், விடுதலை வேண்டிய அவசியம் இல்லைப்பா. அப்பா தேங்க் காட் சொன்னீங்களே எப்பயாவது. புண்ணா போச்சு என் மனசு. ஐயோ நான் பந்தத்தில் இருக்கேன், எனக்கு விடுதலை மோட்சம் வேணும் நினச்சி புண்ணா போச்சு மனசு. ஆனால் குருநாதர் வந்து சொன்னார், யாருமே பந்தப்பட்டில்லை. பந்தப்பட்டு இருக்கிறவங்களே கிடையாது. நீ நினைக்கிற நீ பந்தப்பட்டு இருக்கேன்னு, அப்படி பந்தப்பட்டவனே இங்கே கிடையாதுப்பா. அதனால மோட்சம்னு ஒன்றும் கிடையாது. நீ பாரு உள்ள, நான் யாருன்னு விசாரி. Inquire who am I. You will know that this fellow whom you think to be yourself is not. There is no bondage. There is only self. பரிபூர்ண பரமாத்மா தான் இருக்கார். வேறு எதுவுமே கிடையாது. அதனால பந்தமும் கிடையாது, மோட்சமும் கிடையாது. There is no bondage, there is no liberation. This is highest truth. There is nobody bound. There is no seeker. Nobody seeking. There is no liberation. There is no world. There is no jivas. There are no jivas. There is no God. Whatever is in the past, in the present, in the future, whatever will not perish, that alone is truth. Whatever name you call, that alone is truth. In that truth we imagine Jiva Jagat Ishvara and we get caught. Ella manabhrama, ella poi. The self alone is truth. And in that self there is no bondage. You think you are bound. That is the first bondage. Don't think you are bound. That is liberation. Not don't think you are bound. Find out whether you are there to be bound. இது பார்க்கணும். பார்க்கறது தான் இங்கே முக்கியம். சும்மா பேசுறது இல்லை. இது அப்படியே மனசுலேயே கொட்டை கட்டுறது இல்லை. கிவிங் அட்டென்ஷன் அண்ட் கீப்பிங் த அட்டென்ஷன் ஆன் த செல்ஃப். திஸ் இஸ் த எசன்ஸ் ஆஃப் த டீச்சிங். படிச்சுட்டு அதை பற்றி யோசிக்கிறதோ டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணுறதோ இதில் அர்த்தமே கிடையாது. அப்படிலாம் சம்சாரம் ஒழியாது. இந்த நான் பிரம்மம் சொல்கிற மாதிரி தான் அது. You have to direct your attention to the I thought and keep the mind in the I thought, so it will subside in the source. And then the revelation is, there was never ever samsara. It is not that samsara is gone. அது துவைத்தம் தான். அது சம்சாரம் வந்துச்சு போச்சுங்கிறதுலாம் துவைத்தம் தான். அத்வைத்தம்னு எதுன்னு கேட்டால், ரியல் நாலேஜ் இஸ் there was never ever any bondage. There was never ever any world. There was never ever any ego sense. So this is the truth. Brahman or the self, Atma alone is. So that is Purnam. Satchit Anandam. So this is the truth. This is liberation. So to find out oneself and to be convinced or to have that experience that this very self, ego self, is false. Therefore it is never bound. There can be no liberation. This is liberation. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Dhachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.